honest Hughie here, and thank God I sorted this camera out. I knocked the stand as I sat down and it went all wonky, and I've got a little friend behind me. I got that one from Next, only 12 quid as well. I thought I'd go with the colour of the wall behind me, so obviously he's not going to stay there forever, it's going to go in there. I'm going to get my desk sorted eventually, I don't know when. And this is a little bit of a dangerous setup considering the movie that I'm talking about. Oh look there, I keep thinking the camera's here. Because I've got pulls behind me, I've got this shelf here behind me with loads of stuff that could fall on me. Obviously I'm going to do a review of Final Destination, and I'm literally in a death trap. So there we go, but at least I'm smart enough because I know to look for the signs. Yeah. Now I'm going to get into the review of it. First things first, as you can tell by how I am, I really enjoyed the movie. The movie was class. The couple of things I've got with it, but it's nothing major. To be honest, this movie is actually really well filmed compared to the other ones. It's very it feels more better quality. Not that the other ones were bad quality, but it feels more like sort of they've had a lot of a bit more budget to work with than the other one, that fifth one. Don't get me wrong, the deaths were grim. Deaths are grim in this, but it's it just looks fresher, so to speak. But I've realised, and I didn't know this going in, it's been about 14 years since the last Final Destination. So this is why it feels a bit off to me. So I know what they've done with the movie, and I know why it feels off to me. A bit like when I watched Beetlejuice 2. They're catering to audiences who haven't seen any of them before, and they're catering to audiences of Final Destination that haven't seen any before. So this is a low-key reboot. It's not a flat-out reboot because it does hint to other ones, and it does have certain, not people pop up, but it has it shows quite a lot, but it doesn't at the same time, which is my gripe with the movie. It's not a massive gripe, but a bit of my gripe with the movie is, don't get me wrong, it's great, and I'm going to get into what I liked about it first, and then I'll let you know about what I didn't like about it. But we'll start off by the main thing, which is what you all know with Final Destination movies, and it's the main thing that everyone goes in to watch it for, and it's the gory deaths. This is filled with them. Yes, it has moments of, it's not filled with deaths. It's actually, I will back up on that one a little bit. Because of, I won't spoil what it goes down, but Bloodlines is a heavily, it's a massive hint, the title. It's very much, a death happens, and then they talk for a bit, and then another death will happen. And it's pretty much like the first one, well, like every movie, they try to prevent it, and we all know how that ends. But with this movie it's very self-aware, and that's what I liked about the movie. It was really self-aware, and it was really, to be honest with you, it's quite funny. There was two characters, well, most characters in the movie. I actually liked all of them. Unlike the other movies where the characters die, and you're not too bothered about them, are you, really? Apart from the second one, I was happy that she lived and the cop lived, because I like them too. And the pregnant lady, obviously. But with the others, there's apart from the first and the second one, yeah. From the third onwards, I didn't really care about the characters that much who died in them. There was a few characters who I did like, but the ones that died were sort of stereotypical, teens, and it was people who a little bit of a trope that I've got with this movie where it's right in front of them, they could avoid it, but they choose sort of to do a dumb option. This movie does opposite. Don't get me wrong, there is a little bit. I'll get into it at the end of this video. I'm not going to spoil the movie for anyone, don't worry. I will be saying some spoiler stuff at the end of this video, because I'll have to sort of mention what I didn't like about the movie. It's not a massive, it's not what I didn't like, it's more what I was let down by. But I've watched it from the first one, because when I was a kid, the first one was out. So I watched all the way through all them, and I didn't watch them recently, but there's little hints. But anyway, I'll get back into this review. So pretty much, I'll just jump in the movie review, really. Every character I liked, which is bad, because we all know what's going to happen to them. We all know they're going to die. We all know it's going to be grim. And the thing is, there's a certain character in this movie I really liked. You'll all know. He's out the trailer. I'll just say it's not a spoiler. He's the one with the nose piercing out the trailer. He is actually really good in this. Like, he is great in this. His comedic role, because he is like a comedic person in the movie. There's a name for it and it's gone. But he's like the what is it? There's a name for it. I've gone blank. I'm going to come to me. Comic relief. Boom. That's it. I knew there was something. My mind's gone blank. Comic relief for the movie. But it also ricochets off the other brother, and it works really well. The chemistry of the family, the bonding, works really well. I will say what it is. I will say it's different. This one, from the opening scene, the opening scene's amazing. But the problem with the opening scene being as good as it is, when it comes to the deaths, don't mind, they were good, but you don't get anything like that again in the movie. Without spoiling it, you don't get anything. No, you don't really get anything like near the ends of the movie. You get a little bit of a thing at the end. This isn't me spoiling it, but you don't get anything as big as the opening. Obviously, you could argue, not getting into spoilers, but if you've seen it, you know. But yeah, the intro, that bit's the most chaotic bit, so to speak. There's a lot of chaotic scenes. There's certain hospital scene. There's a certain this isn't a spoiler, but I'll just say there's a bin scene. There's a bin truck scene. I won't say, obviously we know how it goes. But it's very, like I say, I'll back up to it. The characters are really likeable. There's not one character I didn't like. I wasn't too keen on the sister, I'm not going to lie, but I still liked it. And I did like the whole... What I did like about the movie really well, which I think this has done really well, is the humour. I was laughing my head off at it. The deaths were definitely grim. And actually, you feel for... Like, there's a certain scene where he's... Well, it's out the trailer, isn't it? Where he's in a tattoo shop. And once you know why he's doing the tattoo, and what happened before that, you actually feel sad for him. And you actually don't want him to die. You don't want... To be honest, being honest, like I said, I've said this a few times, but you don't want any of them to die, but you know they're going to. Movies that are self-aware that way build characters correctly, even though you know that they're going to die. They are my favourite sort of movies to watch. Don't get me wrong, I love a good movie where, like Scream, you felt for most of the characters, but you didn't care that they died. Certain ones you did, certain ones you couldn't have cared if they died or not. And the same goes for like Mike Myers. Like the last Halloween, I didn't care about any of the characters, so when they died, But this, I cared about all of them. So when they did die, and it was a horrible, gruesome death, you feel bad for them. You feel like they don't deserve it. And that's what's different about this. I'm not saying like they deserve it in the other one, but you know when you're kind of like, oh yeah, like Stifler in the first one. I call him Stifler. He was a bit of a numpty, wasn't he? Like freaking out, and then the train cuts his head off. It's a very, you feel for his character because you like Stifler, but you're kind of like, okay, kind of, it was his own stupidity there. These are actually trying to get out of it, which is my little gripe with this movie, is that there's clear, the not to spoil it, but we know the Mortician, he's in it again. And sadly, it's his last role before he passed. You can see he wasn't well in this. My theory, I'm going to tell you now, this was from the previous Final Destination movies, that the guy who's in the morgue, he was deaf. That was my theory, because when he tells them what to do and what not to do, to like sort of, when it says, take a soul by sometime, yeah, that works, but on the fifth one, they die doing what he said. So that like it causes more deaths to happen, like causes their death to happen more, like it causes events to happen to link with the first one because they do what he said. Same goes with the first one and the second one when he's in the morgue and he's telling them, oh, you can't beat death and this and that. I just feel like he was it, but they changed it. I won't spoil it for you, but they've changed it out of respect, and I get why, because he passed, and I totally understand. But I still stand by my theory that he was deaf, definitely. But this is my gripe with the movie. It's nothing new. It's found destination throughout. It's nothing new. And I think that's why I can't help but feel a bit disappointed. Yes, there's some deaths that are quite fun, so to speak. But there's nothing new to the table. I wanted something new to the table. I didn't want a massive change. I just wanted, low-key, I wanted some answers. We all know the Final Destination movies is you can't beat death. You mess with death, it goes worse. Death finds a way. But I wanted it to delve more into death. Into that. It's more of a force in this movie than a being. But when I watched the first one, when I rewatched the clip, the first guy's death, you see a shadowy figure in the mirror. It's just brief there, but and when the lotion's moving on the floor of the bleach, you see a shadowy figure throughout the movie. And certain scenes, you see a shadowy figure there, lurking. You don't see it. You don't really see it, but when you rewatch it, you see it. Because I watched it quite a lot as a kid, because I like to see the deaths. And you sort of see a bit of it in the second one. This strays well away from that. It's more of a force. There's a certain scene at the beginning where there's a woman saying, talking to death, saying, "You're not getting me today," blah blah blah. It just got my hopes up a little bit, and I knew what I was in for, but it kind of got me up, oh, we're gonna actually have a bit of seeing death, sort of be clever, because it was clever. I always find a way, sort of see how death, how she, how we can avoid it, and it that's my gripe with the movie, is it goes down a route of they can avoid it, and it doesn't work. It's not spoiling it. And then we go to, let's say, our main protagonist, and she. Well, I will let you know one thing. I'll tell you what. I'll wrap the review up here for a non-spoiler bit. So if you want to watch it, give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth a watch, and it's definitely a lot of fun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you enjoyed this review here, like, subscribe, all that. I'm going to have to mention a bit of a spoiler review here. So I'm going to give you a spoiler warning. I'm not going to get into the plot of it, but I am. I am, because I'm going to have to speak about what I found disappointing. So we're going to pause here. If you don't want any spoilers, click off the video. 3, 2, 1, spoiler. Right, I'm going into spoiler talk because I need to. Mainly because of the ending. Right, first things first. I have to go over some spoilers here. If you've seen it, this is fine. She gets a vision, but she dreams everything. So she dreams her grandma's death. And that's what links her to her grandma, which is a great concept. I was a bit gutted it didn't stay in that timeline at the beginning. I was hoping it was going to be that timeline. I'll crouch a bit low because the camera's gone really low. And I was a little bit gutted that it didn't show how all them died. But, oh, pardon me. That's coffee. God. But the grandma has a book. And pretty much, I won't go in details how she gets to grandma's. You can watch that as we go along. We know how that is. But she has a book, and it's all laid out in the book. Everyone's death, and that's what ties into the other movies, because there's the leaf shredder death, which was grim. There's one on there that shows the car engine death. It shows the roller coaster bit, the plane's in the book, and I love it. I'm like, right, we're actually gonna get somewhere here. The other movies were very much, it's coming for you, can't stop it. To try and stop it, it fails. This I was like, right, they might have an actual chance here. It's laid out in front of them. It's there. She's dreamt about it. She knows. Anyway, she witnesses the aunt's death. The aunts, I keep calling her the aunt. The grandma's, I think it's a great grandma anyway. Her death. She literally, she survived years and years. It's not explained. It's more very sorry about this. My camera keeps moving. It's more just implied that she can see the signs, so she can see it coming, and she looks for stuff. You know, like when you see, like the second one where the thing knocked the thing that was hung up. I totally forgot what it was, but it's like where it knocked the canoe and it knocked the ball and stuff. Like all you need to do is move the canoe and move the thing, or catch the ball. For instance, knocks a ball off and the ball will roll and hit someone. If you catch the ball, you'll stop it. She stops it. So there's a firm bit where there's a magnifying glass and it's going to burn a plant pot that'll fall and it'll kill her. It'll splat something. She stops it. And you're not getting me today. And it's very on the nose. It's very good. I like her. But you know she's not going to live long because the daughter's there. The granddaughter's there even. And she's going to cause it. So anyway, we skip all that. She literally explains everything to the daughter. Like, straight out. You look for the signs, you can stop it. If you stop looking for the signs, it'll get you. So anyway, she looks in the book. You see the fire hydrant. And she's like, right, you still don't believe me? Seeing's believing. And literally dies. Now, it doesn't explain, like, properly how she survived, except the signs, obviously. But it doesn't really give you a clear explanation on how she survived as long as she did, considering other people didn't. Now, there's a little theory of her death starts their deaths. That's fair enough. But I still think that should have been explained a bit more. Again, not heavily gripe, just there. So anyway, bear in mind she has this book. So, she goes to a barbecue and someone smashes a cup and the glass goes in the ice. We see it in the trailer. And basically that wouldn't happen because you'd bin the ice. But it's a movie, he's new to the bar. Roll with that. So, I could nitpick it to death, I'm not bothered about that. They have the book. The dad dies, right? It's just, you know, it happens, it's very grim. I like the hint at the beginning, it shows a lawnmower, it's a lawnmower death. Perfect. Right? So I'm thinking, right, they've been aware of this aunt, this crazy grandmother. The daughter's had these vivid dreams. Now there's no premonition beforehand, so she doesn't hallucinate a death. She doesn't see a massive event happen, which was a little bit of a downside for me. But I like the fact of change of formula, but I do like them seeing it. Like, you know, because you get a lot of chaotic scenes, but we got it at the beginning, so I was satisfied to see that. Anyway, it's great. Barbecue scene's spot on. Then we go in the house, and the daughter literally lays the whole book on the wall, and it's all linked to all the other characters we've seen die. And it turns out that a few of them weren't supposed to even be in the timeline because the grandmother survived the catastrophic event. And it sprouted off, so that's mint. That's class. Death's literally tying up loose ends. Death will do that. So it's laid out there, flat out in front of her. She tells the whole family to still deny it. Now, that bit annoyed me because I was literally like, how can you deny it? You've just seen it happen in front of your eyes. So anyway, but I can take it that the father died and the grieving, and it's the whole family. So anyway, we skip, go through, and the daughter dies. And the mother then says, because we think the son's next, the piercing guy is not, it's the daughter. Then she says she had an affair baby. Why didn't she say that before? Because she laid out all the deaths by the names. You're next, because you're my brother. Then it's you, sister, so I don't need to worry about you. I'll keep an eye on you. He goes off on one. Her death. Like, obviously this movie, this is the bit where it hints you could prevent it anyway. The mum didn't think to say, oh no, he's an affair baby. I know they didn't believe them, all this and that, but she should have said, because to me, she could have prevented her daughter's death. She didn't really care that much about her daughter. Because it's not like the mum's the one who believes her daughter more than everyone else as well. It's heavily hinted at the beginning, and mum is on the daughter's side a lot, because she gives her the address to the aunt's house, even though the dad says no. Anyway, I can skip through that because we've got to have a denial bit. So, there's a certain bit before the sister dies. She sees the signs. This could happen, the tree could fall, the ball could hit. And it's a very funny scene because he starts making out with a bin truck. I think that was hilarious, by the way, when he's slapping the tyre. Again, my favourite guy in the movie, bear this in mind, this guy isn't on Death's list, right? He's not on this timeline list. Keep this in mind, by the way. So we go forward, we get that very grim bin truck scene. Happens exactly like our main protagonist says. So we go through to the hospital, and we see to the morgue. He's in it, obviously. Rest in peace. I love him. Honestly, I loved him. Such a heavy loss, but you could see he wasn't well in this movie. He wasn't well at all. This was literally his last role. I think he did another one, but I think, yeah, it's a bit like the guy at John Wick. But again, he was amazing in this. He was just as good. And now that turns out he was the young lad out the building at the beginning. So he was just a survivor. He wasn't death itself like Arthur Reed. But I know why they took that route, because obviously what happened with him passing away, they did it respectfully, so they've changed it. Because it doesn't really, it can make sense, but it's a bit of a cop-out in my opinion. But I get why, respectfully, I'm not mad at that cop-out. I'm not mad at that. And I don't really class it as a cop-out. I think it's just circumstantial. And why they haven't made him, you know, even if he was in coherence with death, you know, like sort of helping death out to keep himself alive. That, you know, because everything he said caused the others to die in the last one. Especially when he said he can kill someone and then he died. And then the plane happened from that. So anyway, I'm getting back on myself here. So I go in the movie, we go in the hospital, right? And to talk to him, he says you can take a life, or like the second movie, the girl drowned, died, and came back. And that broke the chain. Now, as far as I was aware, what broke the chain wasn't the girl dying and coming back. Well, yeah, that too, but it was the girl, pregnant woman, having the baby, broke the chain, because that baby wasn't supposed to exist. So my thing that broke the chain, and what they said broke it, was having that baby. But then obviously other people were in, you know, death itself, and they died. So we don't know. But as far as I'm aware, if you're pregnant and have a baby and survive, and that baby survives and wasn't supposed to, that breaks a chain. So that kind of makes me think with the movie, when it went down the bloodline route, that chain would be broken, because once you have that baby that isn't supposed to exist, it messes everything up. But then you could argue death wants to tie up loose ends. So anyway, I'm going ahead of myself. I'm going, you know, over where. What I'm getting at is, basically, you take a life, you get whatever time's left in that life. So, or you can die and come back. So, there's a guy in it who has a peanut allergy, okay? He's class. He's my favourite character as well. I like him. Him and the guy with the piercing's just hilarious. The reason I'm getting into a spoiler here is because I need to tell you a certain scene happens, and it's grim, but it was very dumb. So, you go to the hospital, we talk to the deaf guy. He's like, right, I'm gonna, you know, they go off on their own little side quest. Bear this in mind, piercing guy isn't on the list, so he's not supposed to die. You know what's coming. So anyway, he said, I'm going to give you some peanuts out the vending machine, and I'm going to bring you back like an EpiPen. I'm going to have you completely die, and I'm going to EpiPen you, and you're going to come back. You're in a hospital, you'll be fine, we can bring you back. So anyway, he says he doesn't want nuts, he wants Reese's. If he's going to die, he's going to die good. Good on him. So anyway, takes a little nibble. He goes in the room, closes the door. No, before he takes a bite, goes in this MRI scan room, closes the door. I'm just going to throw this in here. I recently had an MRI scan. Thank God I had it before this movie, because grim. So what happens is, we go in that section. You just know if you've watched it. Takes nibble in a bar anyway, we know. You turn the machine off when you're seeing it on, because he looks and sees it on. You would first be like, oh, that's, because he goes, oh, that's weird, but you know death's after you. You would be like, no, screw you, pull the plug out. Even if it was something daft, but it finds a way. We know this. So anyway, the guy's in, whole shit goes down, and he gets sucked into the machine because he's full of metal. Very grim scene. If you have any piercings, very grim, especially if you have ones he had. You don't know if you've seen the scene, G. So he's not supposed to die, but it's a double death. Both of them literally get absolutely squished in the machine. He gets the vendor thing sucked in him and dies. What my gripe there is, he wasn't on death's list, and it made it very abundantly clear that if you take a soul that's not supposed to die, whether death takes it as well, it's a soul for a soul. So my thinking is, as much as I really like the guy with the tattoos, he either shouldn't have died, but it was worth it for the death. One of them out this whole lot should have lived at the end. because Tattoo Guy's dead. That is another soul that Death doesn't need yet. So they get his time. And it was, he had a lot more longer. So anyway, we go ahead. Turns out they want to go to the house. So I'll skip a few deaths in between. We go to the house and the mum's like, if I get inside the house, we're safe. Obviously, we know the ending. The house blows up. Also, I didn't see the point in that whole, let's get to the house, it's safe there. Especially when it just blows up. And then it just goes very, like, near the end, very... We've seen all of that before. We've seen survive the drowning. We've seen someone get squished by a lamppost thing falling on them, and it just goes very generic at the end for me. Anyway, you think to survive, and then there's an event, right? This is my gripe. It's cool though. I do like it, and I do appreciate the coin. And it gets caught, obviously how it opens, how it ends. And without going on too much about the movie, I'm going to cut to the bit where they get squished and it's the logs that kill them at the end, which I do think's funny. But what annoys me about that, right, this is what I'm getting at. My gripe with the movie. She had dreams of a sister. That'd be weird if she was a sister. A grandmother dying. Talks to her grandmother. Grandmother tells her straight away how you can avoid it. How you can avoid death. It's laid out flat in front of her. She does it once. One character dies. She doesn't do it again. She doesn't even like going to the house. You can see signs there. We see the signs. She's just like, she goes dumb, in my opinion. Much as it tries to play her off as a clever character, she goes dumb. Because you'd be looking for all them signs. It's right in front of you. She's like the guy out the first one. Now, this is where I go with the first one. It makes me think it's the first movie again. Especially with the ending when they think they lived and they died. But what annoys me with that is it's a massive event that kills her. So a train comes off the track, kills more than them two. It's heavily implied that it kills everybody at the prom. Why didn't she hallucinate that? Why didn't she see that vision? You know what I mean? Unless the second one opens up with that vision and they're still alive. But in theory, she shouldn't die because the tattoo guy died. That's a soul. So even if her brother died and she was a sole survivor, literally, that would have, could have been a you die because the tattoo guy literally wasn't supposed to die. He intervened too much. It's a very fuck around and find out movie. And I like that. But death does have a way of, I'll take that instead of you. It's very heavily implied that if someone dies along the way that wasn't... it's very implied in the other movies that doesn't happen. You'll die when you're supposed to die. Death will find a way to get you if you bypass that. You can skip, but it'll come back and get you. He wasn't on that list. Made no sense him dying, even intervening. It sort of made me think, well, wouldn't that be a... So anyway, I'm nitpicking. But the main gripe I had was the ending. It ended... Maybe it's because I liked the characters in this one and I thought it was a waste of characters. It just ended very stereotypical. And it felt the same as every other Final Destination movie I've watched. And I had no problem with that. Because again, the acting was great. Cast was great. Characters were great. Deaths were grim. Mint. Could have had a few more deaths in it. Not that mad about that. But the signs were there, clear for her to avoid it. She literally could see everything before it was happening at the beginning, and then it just takes a whole U-turn near the end where she just completely thinks she avoided it. Obviously, she didn't flat out die. That's the whole twist thing, we know. And I was just a bit sort of let down by it. I was a bit I wanted to, I go back to the ghostly figure. I wanted to see death, to be honest. I wanted to see it. I know I wasn't going to get that. Maybe the second one, because this feels like a low-key reboot. But I just wanted a bit more to this than just, yeah. As much as the deaths at the end were funny, I wanted it to be a bit more clever on the character side. Because these felt like I would buy if they survived it, put it that way. The other ones that survived it in the previous movies, yeah, but these I could really buy if they survived it. Considering it's laid out in front of him, she had a whole book, predicting deaths. Anyway, I could go on forever about this movie, but out of 10, 8 out of 10. That's the only reason it loses 2 points. But again, great movie. I do recommend it. Just don't get your hopes up for anything new. But again, that was just my gripe with the movie. So I'll end the video here. If you liked it, subscribe, all that. And what's my next movie I'm going to do a review on? Oh, I'm going to do a werewolf one. Yeah, werewolves. That's my next review. Werewolves.